Hi folks, my name's Jonathan.
I'm Erin.
And I'm Karis.
And welcome to our first ever monthly TSM Podcast.
Yay!
Okay, what is TSM?
Yes. So TSM, I feel like a news reporter. So TSM stands for Tucson Student Ministries. So we are a local ministry here in Tucson, Arizona. We were founded in April of 2021, and we are currently still in the creating phases, but we're so excited to bring this community the most we can. So we're excited to start this podcast, start conversations, talk about hard topics, because that's what we do here. So our mission statement is we are a peer-to-peer ministry that uses performing arts, conversations, and connections to provide knowledge of healthy life choices to the students of Tucson. So right now, we have a whole list of show content that we've created and things that we've been studying up on, different topics like depression, anxiety, family dynamics, identity, self-worth, substance abuse, all of those things. So we're able to talk to the students whatever they need. You know, we can go to any type of school and hopefully have the resources for them, have the conversations that they need, anything. So we're really excited to bring that resource to Tucson and just So we have two very specific programs, which I'll toss it to Karis to explain what our programs are.
Yeah, so we have our outreach team and our production team. And our production team are going to be the peer-to-peer
Nope.
No substance abuse allowed.
the peer-to-peer side of our ministry. And so they're going to be all of basically our underage volunteers are going to be doing the on-stage performances where we use like visual arts and spoken word and dance and super cool stuff like that to kind of share the message that we're spreading. And then we have our outreach team, which is going to be everybody 18 plus, is going to go into the schools kind of following up our performances, and they're going to get to have like more personal discussions with the students about everything that the production team like brought up and all the subjects. So
yeah, we're really excited. What we're hoping will happen, like as an example, is we go up on stage in front of a school here in town, and one of our topics we talk about is like, let's say, depression. And we talk about it through like a skit. And then at the end, you know, we have like a hotline number or something. And then the next day, a outreach volunteer is able to come in. That student is able to go up to our outreach volunteer and be like, hey, I haven't told anybody this. I'm really struggling with depression. I don't know what to do. And our outreach volunteer is able to talk with them, get them connected to either a school counselor or maybe like a text hotline resource or a youth group, whatever that they can see for the student. They're able to connect them to the rest of the community, and then we're able to help them as much as we can and stay in touch with them. Do you want to plug before we move on to our next topic?
So for those of you who don't know, you can find us anywhere you can find any type of media outside of LinkedIn. We can be
and Twitter.
And Twitter. You can find us on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and then this podcast. Where are we hoping to put this podcast?
I'm hoping to put it kind of everywhere.
Okay, bet. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it on...
Do you need to be like not a real podcast? Like, do you need like credentials to be on Spotify? I haven't looked into it. If this is on Spotify, then I've looked into it.
we figured it out.
If
Or
it's
like
not,
Apple
oh
Music.
well. Apple Music, all the cool kids
It'll definitely
places.
be on YouTube and our social medias for sure. And then
Yes.
links to wherever this will be in the future will also be updated. So follow our social media to
Yeah.
stay updated, and then I'll let you know.
And if you'd like to find out more about any of our shows or opportunities on ways you can get involved, definitely check out all of those places as well. Okay, so we're going to launch into some small introductions real quick. So we are the three hosts that will be leading all of these podcasts from the near future. We are going to have a bunch of guests come in every now and then, and it's going to be super fun. So let's get into some introductions. Who'd like to go first?
I can go first.
You bet.
Let me scroll down to me. Okay, so my name is Erin. I am 22 years old, and I graduated from the U of A, bear down, with a degree in psych and theater. And I am the executive director and founder and secretary of the board and the only employee of Tucson Student Ministries. So I love this ministry so much, and it's really cool to see how God has put me in this place in the exact perfect timing. Like I said, I was a psych major and a theater minor, so I literally took my two loves of talking to people in hard places and in hard situations with the arts and I combined them, and I was like, woo, here it is. So that's been really exciting. I'm born and raised here in Tucson, Arizona.
Nice.
Never left. Well, I've left like for vacation, but I've never lived anywhere but Tucson. So I have a heart for this city and this community. And I went to high school here. I grew up here. I know the culture pretty well. So I know also things that students really deal with here. So I'm really excited to be able to bring this program in. I am just, like I said, I'm very passionate about like listening to people, and especially people who like feel ignored or unheard, which is so common with students. Like they feel like pushed aside. 'Cause, I mean, you know, I'm only 22. I just graduated college, but I feel like a lot of adults, they like to pretend like being in high school is really easy,
Right.
or like
or that
life
the
isn't.
problems aren't real.
Yeah, like
or-
life isn't real.
Back in my day, we walked uphill both ways
Yeah,
to get to school.
exactly. Like people like to pretend like students' problems aren't just as legitimate or hard just because they're students. So I have a passion for people who are like unheard or ignored and hearing them out, and helping them. And I'm also just like, my personality type is like a very practical person. Like if somebody's like, oh, I have a headache, like here's ibuprofen, here's a snack,
fix
and
that.
here's a blanket, and I love you. Like I'm just like, I express my love in very practical ways. So that's also another like, so I like to listen to people who feel ignored, and then if they tell me something like, oh, I'm really depressed, I hate being like, oh, I'm sorry. Like
Let's leave
that's,
you there.
That's part of
Good
it.
luck.
That's part of it, because you want them to feel like heard
Yeah.
and loved, but also like, what else are we gonna do?
That's just the first step.
That's just the first step, for sure.
Very
So
much.
that's just where I feel very passionate. And then my specific life story, one of many cool things that God has done for me that has led me to be exactly where I am and have the passions that I have is I grew up with anxiety, like pretty bad anxiety. And back in 2018, or 2018. My brain just like pedaled out. Back in 2018 when I was 19 years old, I was freed from anxiety. And it's a really cool story that we're going to do a whole separate podcast on about that whole story, because
Oh,
it's
I
a
look
big old long
forward.
story. But just being in that place, I have been mentally ill in a very specific way, and I've also been set free, and I'm able to like see the difference in my own life and see the coping that I had, the friends that I had, the boundaries that I didn't have, the things that I didn't have set up for myself that would have made my life so much better. And like now that I'm living in a more healthy place, I'm like, oh, I want to help people not go through that, because I know how much that really sucks. So I just feel that's God's so cool, because he's like, just I've had so many things in my life that have happened that have made me the person who I am with the passions that I have. So that's that quick air quotes around that quick introduction of kind of Aaron.
Yeah.
Which one of you two would like
I
to
like
go
it.
next? Thank you.
Sure. So, I'm Karis.
I'm sorry, my
And-
phone just vibrated. I apologize. I'll take it off the table. Sorry, I don't know if the mic picked it up. That's why I apologize.
Please silence all cell phones during the duration of the film.
Thank
Oh.
you, thank you.
Oh, yeah, it was a joke.
Okay, well, I'm going to silence it.
I wanted to make sure.
Sorry, go ahead, Karis.
So I'm Karis. I'm 21. I almost put 22 on the document because I got confused.
Between our ages.
Anyways, and I'm a caregiver here in Tucson, and so I guess you could say that caring for people is definitely a passion of mine. And I grew up in a family where a lot of my family members had pretty serious like mental health problems and diagnosis, and so I like learned from a like early age how to like communicate with them and how to like understand them and not just like look at them and be like, you're a stereotype and I'm gonna like laugh at you and like ignore you or whatever. They were my family, and so I was like, I want to like understand what's going on and be able to like help you and communicate with you. And I think because of that, I've had the blessing to like build some empathy in my life for people who have mental health problems, and I've struggled with mental health problems too. I think most people have, whether they in some way or another.
Yeah, probably.
You know,
I would agree with
even
that.
if it's just a one-time thing, like you get anxiety, you're human. You know, you get depressed sometimes, stuff like that. But yeah, I'm learning how to validate my own emotions and my own fears, and to just kind of live from the understanding of like who God has made me to be, and I want to help other people do that too. And this ministry is the perfect opportunity. So I'm so excited. Jonathan, why don't you introduce us?
Okay, bet. So am I introducing us, or am
No,
I
you're
introducing
introducing
myself?
yourself.
Introduce us to you.
Okay,
Introduce
bet.
the world to Johnny Boy.
Bet. Who is Johnny Boy? So my name's Jonathan Ehler. Are we saying last names?
We didn't, but
Okay.
you're more than welcome to.
Okay, bet.
You're like a professional photographer. People can look you up.
That's true.
Ooh, plug.
Check the link in the bio. Hi, my name's Jonathan. I'm a photographer and a videographer. I just graduated from high school last year. It seems just really weird. It's just like a very weird fact of like realizing like I graduated.
I'm not in school
I'm not in school anymore. But I just graduated high school from Empire, and so my story starts in Illinois. I was born in Illinois, and then I was raised most of my childhood in Illinois. Then when I was, I think, 11, we moved here to Arizona. And I've been here ever since, and I've really enjoyed it, and I love it. And I've made a lot of new friends, and I've gone through middle school and high school here, and it's been wonderful. And my story, like, it starts there, and then, like, there was a dramatic point at when I was in middle school. My dad passed away when I was in 7th grade, and it was a very traumatic experience. It was very sad. It was very just heart-wrenching, and I went through a lot of, at that time I was also going through a lot of depression and a lot of anxiety, and so I was witnessing a lot of mental health happening in my life, but not quite sure what to do about it. And so a lot of my story up until now has been figuring out ways of, well, what can I do to cope? How can I rely on God? How can I rely on my friends? How can I rely on this? And how can I like throw myself into a passion and then continue to love that and just wrestle with all of that? And I feel like I've gotten to a really good spot, and I'm very happy about it. And I'm trying to figure out where else to go with this. Okay, so one thing about me that I really enjoy is I really enjoy people. I love people a lot. I really love laughing with people and just enjoying life with people. On the same side of that coin, I really love being a friend to people and understanding, well, what is hurting you right now? What is making your heart feel deep emotion that you don't necessarily like? Or maybe it's emotion that you really do like, if it's a happy emotion. And so, like, I really like being in that with people and figuring out what that might be. And, yeah, that's who I am.
Can't confirm.
You can't tell. We're all friends.
Just in case you didn't know.
Just in case you didn't know.
Shameless plug.
You can't be in our friend.
For friendship. A
Shameless
plug for
plug of
friendship. That's friends.
Yeah.
Also, so now that you guys are watching this podcast, you are also our friends.
I love that.
Okay. So our mission with this podcast is we really just want to get our name out there. We want to get out who we are and talk about that a lot. We also would love to talk about a bunch of different issues and topics that students are struggling with. We're also going to have a bunch of experts in, and we're going to talk with them about their opinions on all of these different matters. And we hope to provide you guys with a lot of resources and a lot of just entertainment through all of this.
Because we're entertaining.
And thought-provoking.
Oh, that too.
Yeah.
We are the new age philosophers.
No.
No.
We are not.
Not it.
Okay, so Erin, tell me a little more about like what TSM is and what your mission is and what you're hoping to do.
Yes. So, Tucson Student Ministries is a peer-to-peer performing arts and outreach ministry. So what we are wanting to do is we want to start talking to these students about like really hard topics that aren't talked about. So we want to talk about topics like mental health, so like depression, anxiety, body image things, family dynamics, which would be like loss or a broken home or an abusive home or anything like that. And we want to talk about like substance use, self-worth, identity, all of those topics.
All of the like taboo things that people aren't talking about in high school, right?
Yeah.
That are all still very pressing with students.
Yes, yeah. So I mean, we're all pretty young. We were all in high school not that long ago. We know, like, we're well aware that like these are all really serious issues, and we're able to see like culturally how we handle them, which is not good. So we just want to bring like light and truth, but also we want to bring like love and connections and community to these students. So
Because that's how you heal.
yes. So we are just, I'm passionate about I said that with an accent.
Bro.
I'm passionate about, like I said, mental health with like my psych degree, and I'm passionate about theater. So combining those two loves was kind of doing a theatrical take on really hard subjects.
That's so fun.
I love that.
So I'm really excited about that. But yes, I love students. I love listening to people, and yeah. So
One thing I find kind of cool about that, just like hearing you talk about your passion and like how you took your passion and combined it with helping students and like just how that dynamic works. I find that really fascinating because I'm doing a very similar thing as well. With that is you're letting me use my photography and my videography skills and combine that. And so what is your take on that and like other students? Do you think, what types of things are you trying to incorporate with TSM in the arts department?
for sure. So I mean, everybody's talented in their own ways. You know, I grew up dancing and acting. Those are kind of like my forte. Karis is an amazing singer, Jonathan, an amazing photographer and videographer. So it's like, you know, even though all of us are like younger, we all bring so much to the table. So we've already started creating show content for our performing arts. And it's been so cool to see the volunteers that I do have, seeing their skill sets be put to use. You know, like we have a writer on the team, and we have, you know, people who are like, oh, I've never done a spoken word before, and then they hand me one, and I'm like, this is really good.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so
It's
impressed.
amazing.
Or, you know, we had someone like create almost like a whole dance, and they've never danced before. So it's just, I think it's really beautiful because of the way that this ministry is structured. Excuse me. That it's like meant to be ever changing and adding talents and adding new aspects to things, especially because our world is ever changing. So
Right.
the topics are going to change, and the things that we need to talk about are going to change. So it's exciting to be able to like use everybody's talents and however they see fit, and being able to like plug them into places. I was talking to a girl who's going to volunteer with us soon, and she's like, I want to volunteer, but the only like talent I have is I can play the guitar. And I was like, perfect, we're going to start a band.
Boom.
We're going to do worship covers. I have a place for you. So it's just, it's really
So
exciting
fun.
to see that of like people and how they can bring their talents for God and use them in a way that's like glorifying to Him, but also like really impactful and like changes people's
Yeah.
lives. So
All these things that we're like, I would love to do something like important with this, and it's like, oh, well, like let's impact people with
Yeah.
something that really matters.
yeah, well, especially growing up in like the dancing community and even the acting community.
Right.
So I, like I said, I went to the U of A, and I started out as a theater major, and all of my coworkers, no, all of my peers, all of my peers were like the sweetest humans, and I love all of them to death. But I was, you know, sitting there, and I was watching the plays that U of A was putting on, and I was, you know, listening to like even the like monologues that I was supposed to be doing, and so many of them were like swearing or were like bringing up really like things that I don't agree with, or just like, you know, like, oh, you just have to make out with your not coworker, you have
Peer.
to make out with your peer on stage. And I was like, oh, I'm really uncomfortable with this.
Right.
And the more I looked into it, I was like, I can't be like an actor or a dancer in this society without like compromising who I am, and I don't want to do that. So I think that's really cool. This is a cool place to use those like worldly talents, but they were God's first, you know. So
Yeah.
it's cool
Amen.
because like I mean, all of Psalms and all of Proverbs is like praising God through dance and through singing, and it's like through the arts, you know, who God is. So I think that that's just a really cool aspect of this.
I love
It's like
that.
you can use your talents in whatever way to like
I love that.
glorify God.
Glorify
I'm not a
God.
singer.
So, Karis, where have you seen like you use your talents in the same topic we were talking about? Like, what has singing done for you? What has singing how have you seen that work for you?
So, I've just loved singing my whole life. I mean, you guys know I sing every other sentence.
Oh, yes.
It's who I am. It's what I do. And so, I mean, Erin came up to me and she was like, "Do you want to film like some TikToks for TSM?" And I was like, "Heck yeah, I do. Sing some worship covers. Are you kidding?" And so just having an opportunity to where like I know that this is something important, and it's not just me like singing on a stage, because that's not something that I really like care about doing, is like I don't know, going on like America's Got Talent and like winning some judges over. Like I really don't want to do that, and I probably would have really bad stage fright if I did that. But for here, I'm like, this is for something important, so like I can go into it with the purpose of like knowing that, and it's something that I love doing, so I could do it all the time. So,
So besides just talents, Tucson Student Ministries also has a second program that's all about outreach. And as our board of directors said, and everybody that I know that knows you personally, Jonathan, talks about how good of a connector you are with people and how you can talk to anybody and you're so energetic and loving. So if you want to talk a little bit about that, just part of your story and who you are and what makes you a connector, you know?
Wow.
wow.
Thank you. Something that I've learned and like have really gotten to experience throughout my life is just learning that everybody has a story, and it's kind of a scary concept because for me, when I first realized that, I was like, wow, this is super existential. Now I'm thinking about it and like,
And overwhelming.
yeah, like shoot, I'm not the only one with trauma.
What?
And so like realizing that was a very monumental thing in my life, and so like now I'm going through life learning like, hey, since everybody does have a story, I want to hear what those stories are. And so taking to principles of like listening and actually caring every time I talk to somebody, and going up to people and talking to them because of that
Making
same
new
fact.
friends.
Exactly. I love people a lot, and I think people need somebody to love them, and people need somebody to hear them because everybody needs somebody to listen. And I like being that person for people within boundaries, of course, because if you don't have boundaries, then you get overwhelmed and you can't. I personally can't hold anybody else's problems other than my own. Like I can barely hold my own, much less anybody else's. So I go into every conversation thinking, well, how can I help this person but not carry this with me? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And so like I try to go into every conversation with that mindset, and you learn a lot about people when you just sit down and you're like, hey, just talk to me. I want to hear what your heart is. I want to hear like, okay, how's your day going? And most people are like, yeah, it's going good. And I'm like, well, what does good mean to you? What is your standard for good? How are you really doing? And I met this person in my life. Her name was Sarah. She was this amazing, wonderful, super strong, motivated woman in my life. And every time I would say how I was doing, she's like, well, but how are you really? And then like a friend of mine, David, picked up on that, and he would do the exact same thing. And then like all of my friends in my friend group now are like, so what? Well, how are you actually doing? And I'm like, that's a great question.
Let me ask myself.
I don't know. And if those people can do it for me, I'm like, well, I want to be able to do that for other people. And so,
That's beautiful.
yeah. And then by making connections, I know that anytime I need something, I can reach out to these different people. And now I have connections all across the Vail school system. Like I know so many different people. And I get a lot of, in my own personal business, I get a lot of work via that, which is kind of nice. That's not why I do it, but it's kind of nice.
Plug.
Well, I was actually just about to say that kind of exact thing. It's like when you were talking, I was like, how awesome that like for your future and your career right now, you're like really pursuing photography and videography, and that's like capturing people's stories. I just think that that's like beautiful.
Okay. So I had this revelation a while ago. I was like laying down on my bed, and I was like kind of exhausted. I'd worked like 3 different events that day, and I was laying there and I'm like, I'm really perfect for this job. Like I don't know what my parents did, but they bred me for photography. It is in my soul because I truly love people. And like we went on a field trip, and I was like taking photos of this guy, and I was like, so who are you? And like it's so fun just to hear people's stories and like capture their memories and capture their just happy events, because I enjoy being a part of happy events. And so we care about all of you out there. Please leave a comment or something down below if you want to
Send us an email.
At TucsonStudentMinistries@gmail.com.
Boom.
It's really long.
Feel free to comment down below. Say your comments on this podcast so far. We'd love to hear about it. Anyway.
And have a conversation with you and
Boom.
interact with you.
Exactly.
Questions, thoughts, whatever it is.
If you want to know how to get involved, please check out our website at Tucson.
Studentministries.org.
I messed it up, but
It's okay. TucsonStudentMinistries.org.
That one.
So, yeah. Well, we love you. We love our Tucson community. We love to pray for the Tucson community and pray for people. Do you want to pray out this podcast?
Oh, sure. I was going to
Oh.
say,
I
no, I was
thought
just
you got
going to say
excited about-
I'm excited for like this podcast starting and
Yes.
all the
I
things
have
that
a
we're going to
cute-
talk about.
I have a fun guest list already lined up of
Whoa.
people, like some volunteers on the team, some board members on the team, and some
Yay.
like therapists. So I'm very
Nice.
I'm
excited.
excited. All the things we're going to talk about.
I'm very excited.
But yeah, I can pray us out. Okay. So Jesus, I thank you for this podcast and all the exciting things that are coming and all this exciting discussions that we're going to be having. I just pray for everybody watching or listening to this, God, that they would know that you are with them and you hear their problems, and that they would plug into the communities around them to talk about whatever it is that's on their hearts and their minds, God. And I just pray for TSM going forward, that you would bless it and that we would talk about all the things that everybody needs to hear. In your name, amen.
Amen.
Also, Tucson Student Ministries is a Christian organization.
If you didn't
If you couldn't
notice,
realize that.
if you
Bada
didn't
bing,
know.
bada
Bada bing, bada
boom.
boom.
We love the Lord.
Thank you, guys.
Whoa.
Thank you. Thank you.
As my socks say.
I
Love Jesus.
As
I don't know if
my
you can see
socks
that.
say,
There
Puma.
Puma.
Boom.
Why are we
Alright.
the same laugh?
Love you
Bye.
guys. See you
Slouching.
next time.
The students, I really hated that intro.
I thought we were only doing a brief intro.
I didn't realize I was still talking.
Just do the...
Length is a good thing.
Okay, let me try it again. I have an idea of what I want to do now.
Because we're going to do longer later, right?
Yeah, I'll just say we're
Okay.
Tucson Student Ministries, we're a local ministry.
Okay,
in Tucson.
do your thing, girl.
Let's start it over. You introduce again. I'm
Oh, wait.
so
Okay,
sorry.
bet.
Ask Aaron to...
3.
Oh, all from the top?
Yeah. Sorry. I was thinking, what did I say in my intro versus what I said in the previous?
It's
Intro.
okay.
I'm
She's
so sorry.
just
I
a
think you should
director.
speak from your heart because you
I
love
think
it
so, too.
and
I
know
agree.
so much about this ministry.
This is so true. I don't know. Okay.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.